Most teams don't really have an orchestrator. They have a set of cron jobs and glue scripts, a Python framework you have to redeploy every time you want to change a schedule, and alerting hacked into a try except somewhere. Nothing's versioned together, nobody outside the team can touch it, and every change is basically a deploy. Kestra replaces that with declarative workflows you can actually read and change from your browser. Kestra is an open source orchestration platform. You describe a workflow once declaratively in YAML, and that one definition is portable, language agnostic, and versioned. From it, Kestra runs your work on demand, on a schedule, or in response to events. It runs any language, Python, Node, Go, SQL, Bash, each script in its own container, so there is no dependency hell. It passes data between tasks through built-in internal storage, like having an S3 bucket wired in. And then it recovers on its own with retries and error workflows. The important part, this is a config on top of your existing code, not a framework you rewrite your code into. You build and change flows in the embedded editor, and every change gets versioned. One container to start, and over 1,000 plugins out of the box. Let me show you how it works. I'll start Kestra using Docker and Docker Compose file. There's two services defined in the Compose file, the database and the Kestra container. In the configuration, we're just connecting to that Postgres instance and then exposing a couple of ports. Note that I'm not configuring any auth because we'll create a new user through the UI. So once the containers are up and running, we can open localhost 8080 and then create the user and get to the UI. Let's create a new flow. Here's the smallest possible one. It has an ID, a namespace, and a list of tasks. This task will just write hello world to the output. So let's save this, and then we can go ahead and execute it. Now let's add another task to it. We'll create an HTTP request against a public API. Now, if you go ahead and save it and then execute this, then from the Outputs tab, you can see that there's the response body, basically whatever was retrieved from that public API. So this is all stored for me, and you can use it in any of the tasks later on. Next, let's add an API URL as an input. It'll be a string, and it'll default to the dummyjson.com that we had before. And then we can also go and replace the URI pointing to that input variable in the API task. So now if we try to execute, you'll notice in the form, it'll have the default value that you can go ahead and change if you want to. The next thing that we'll add is a Python task. So this task will, as the name suggests, run some Python code. So it uses the Python Slim Docker image, and then before anything else runs, it will install the polars library with pip install polars, and then it will run the script where it basically gets the output, basically API body output, and then parses the products from there, and then selects the brands and prices, and then writes it into a CSV file. And then notice we have the output files defined as a products.csv. So let's go and execute this. Now this will take like a minute or so because it needs to pull the image and it needs to install the library. And then once it installs that, it will run that Python script and it will save the data in the CSV file. So if we go to the outputs, Python, and then output files, and then on the top we have products.csv. And then we can click preview or download, and you'll see the product names and the prices, actually brands and the prices were exported to a CSV file. Now that we have more than one task, you can also click on the topology and you can see this nice workflow that's visualized. All right, so the next thing is we'll add another task, and this task will be a SQL task. So what this will do is it will take an input file, basically in.csv, from the output of the Python task. So we're referencing the outputs.py Python, the task name, .output files, which is defined up there, and then products.csv. And then we're just running a SQL command that will select the brand and the average price. It will read it from the in.csv and then group by the brand and then order by the average price in a descending order. So let's save this and let's execute. There you go. So the SQL query has finished. So now if we go back to the outputs of the SQL query task, you'll notice there's an URI, the internal link, and we can click preview and you'll see the brand and the average price, which is sorted by in the descending order by the average price. Okay, so the last thing that we'll look at is scheduling and handling failures. So these are just the properties here, so you can configure them as a properties on your flow. So the trigger is defined by the triggers field, and then you have an ID and a type, and then you enter the cron expression. In this case, it will run every Monday at 10 a.m. And then we'll also go to the API task, and we'll define a couple of retries here. So we want our retries to be constant, and we specify the interval. So we want the retries to be at the 10-second intervals. We're doing maximum of 3 attempts. Anything more, it'll make this demo too long. And then we can also set the max duration here for the retries to be 1 hour. And finally, we will also warn on the retry. Next thing that we want to do is, let's say the retries, all those 3 retries fail. What we want to do is we also want to log on errors or alert on failures. So we'll add this to the errors field. Basically, we want to write out the message, which says alert, flow name, flow ID, and the failed execution ID. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so yeah, so these are the triggers here that you can see all the triggers here. We have 1 that's defined, but if you have more, you would see them here. And then let's go and execute this. And I'll just enter some non-existing URL just so we can make it fail. So the first task will pass, and then the API will fail. You'll notice that this is the first attempt. And then if we wait for around 10 seconds, because that's what our retries were, you can see the second attempt, and then 10 seconds later, we'll get the third attempt. And after the third attempt, we'll also get an error. So we'll get that alert on failure error, and it'll basically say it was the flow name failed and what the execution ID was. And that's the whole idea of Kestra. So declarative orchestration on top of the code you already have, any language, version, event-driven, and changeable from your browser. So there's no framework you need to rewrite into, and no redeploy just to move or change schedule. You can check out the docs at kestra.io, or if you want to contribute, go to GitHub, and I added all the links to the description. Thanks for watching.